हाय एवरीवन, वेलकम बैक टू बर्मा स्टडी। तो स्वागत है एक और नई वीडियो में। आज की वीडियो में हम लोग द लिविंग वर्ल्ड का एनसीईआरटी लाइन बाय लाइन रीडिंग करेंगे, जो कि आप लोगों के नीट के प्रिपरेशंस में बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है। तो चलिए बिना किसी देरी की वीडियो को स्टार्ट करते हैं। यूनिट 1, डाइवर्सिटी इन द लिविंग वर्ल्ड। Biology is the science of life form and living process. The living world comprises an amazing diversity of living organisms. Early men could easily perceive the difference between inanimate matter and living organisms. Early men defied some of the inanimate matter, wind, sea, fire, etc., and some along the animals and plants. A common feature of all such forms of inanimate and animate object was the sense of awe or fear that they evoked. The description of living organisms, including human beings, began much later in human history. Society, which indulged in anthropocentric view of biology, could register limited progress in biological knowledge. Systematic and monumental description of life forms brought in, out of necessity, detailed systems of identification, nomenclature, and classification. The biggest spin of such studies was the recognition of the sharing of similarities among living organisms, both horizontal and vertically. That all present day living organisms are related to each other and also to all organisms that ever lived on this earth was a revelation which humbled men and led to cultural movement for conservation of biodiversity. In the following chapter of this unit, you will get a description including classification of animals and plants from a taxonomist perspective. Now we move to Ernest Mayr, 1904 to 2004. Born on 5 July 1904 in Kempten, Germany, Ernest Mayr, the Harvard University evolutionary biologist who has been called the Darwin of the 20th century, was one of the 100 greatest scientists of all time. Mayr joined Harvard's Faculty of Arts and Science in 1953 and retired in 1975, assuming the title Alexander Agassiz Professor of Zoology Emeritus. Throughout his nearly 80-year career, his research spanned ornithology, taxonomy, geography, evolution, systematics, and the history and philosophy of biology. He almost single-handedly made the origin of a species diversity the central question of evolutionary biology that it is today. He also pioneered the currently accepted definition of biological species. Mayr was awarded the three prizes widely regarded as the Triple Crown of Biology: the Bulgen Prize in 1983, the International Prize for Biology in 1994, and the Crawford Prize in 1999. Mayr died at the age of 100 in the year of 2004. Now, the chapter first, the living world. 1.1, Diversity in the living world. 1.2, Taxonomic categories. How wonderful is the living world! The wide range of living types is amazing. The extraordinary habitats in which we find living organisms, be it cold mountains, deciduous forest, ocean, freshwater lake, desert, or hot spring, leave us speechless. The beauty of a galloping horse, of the migrating bird, the valley of flower, or the attacking star evokes away and a deep sense of wonder. The illogical conflict and cooperation among members of a population and among population of a community, or even the molecular traffic inside a cell, make us deeply reflect on what indeed is life. This question has two implicit questions within it. The first is a technical one and seek answer to what living is as opposed to the non-living, and the second is a physiological one and seek answer to what the purpose of life is. As scientists, we shall not attempt answering the second question. We will try to reflect on what is living. 1.1, Diversity in the living world. If you look around, you will see a large variety of living organisms, be it potted plants, insect, bird, your pets, or other animals and plants. There are also several organisms that you cannot see with your naked eye, but they are all around you. If you were to increase the area that you make observation in, the range and variety of organisms that you see would increase. Obviously, if you were to visit a dense forest, you would probably see a much greater number and kinds of living organisms in it. Each different kind of plant, animal, or organism that you see represent a species. The number of species that are known and described range between 1.7 to 1.8 million. This refers to biodiversity, or the number and types of organisms present on Earth. We should remember here that as we explore new areas and even old ones, new organisms are continuously being identified. As I stated earlier, there are millions of plants and animals in the world. We know the plants and animals in your own area by their local names. These local names would vary from place to place. Even within a country, probably you would recognize the confusion that would be created if we did not find ways and means to talk to each other, to refer to organisms we are talking about. Hence, there is a need to standardize the naming of living organism such that a particular organism is known by the same name all over the world. This process is called nomenclature. Obviously, nomenclature or naming is only possible when the organism is described correctly and we know to what organism the name is attached to. This is identification. In order to facilitate the study, number of scientists have established procedures to assign a scientific name to each known organism. This is acceptable to biologists all over the world for plants scientific names and based on agreed principle and criteria which are provided in International Code for Botanical Nomenclature ICBN. You may ask, how are animals named? Animal taxonomists have evolved International Code of Zoological Nomenclature ICZN. The scientific name ensures that each organism has only one name. Description of any organism should enable the people in any part of the world to arrive at the same name. They also ensure that such a name has not been used for any other non-organism. Biologists follow universally accepted principle to provide scientific names to non-organisms. Each name has two components: the generic name and the specific epithet. Is this system of providing a name with two components is called binomial nomenclature. This naming system given by Carlos Linnaeus is being practiced by biologists all over the world. This naming system using a two-word format was found convenient. Let us take the example of mango to understand the way of providing scientific names better. The scientific name of mango is written as Magnifera indica. Let us see how it is binomial name. In this name, Magnifera represents the genus, while indica is a particular species or a specific epithet. Other universal rule of nomenclature are as follow. Biological names are generally in Latin and written in italics. They are Latinized and derived from Latin irrespective of their origin. The first word in a biological name represents the genus, while the second component denotes the specific epithet. Both the words in a biological name, when handwritten, are separately underlined or printed in italics to indicate their Latin origin. The first word denoting the genus starts with a capital letter, while the specific epithet starts with a small letter. It can be illustrated with the example of Magnifera indica. Name of the author appear after the specific epithet that is at the end of biological name and is written in an abbreviated form. Example, Magnifera indica Linn. It indicates that this species was first described by Linnaeus. Since it is nearly impossible to study all the living organisms, it is necessary to devise some means to make this possible. This process is classification. Classification is the process by which anything is grouped into convenient categories based on some easily observable characters. For example, we easily recognize groups such as plants or animals or dog, cats or insect. The moment we use any of these terms, we associate certain character with the organism in that group. What image do you see when you think of a dog? Obviously, see, each one of us will see dogs and not cats. Now, if we were to think of Alsatians, we know what we are talking about. Similarly, suppose we are to say mammals, you would of course think of animals with external ears and body hair. Likewise, in plants, if we try to talk of wheat, the picture in which your mind will be of wheat plants, not of rice or any other plant. Hence, all these dog, cats, mammal, wheat, rice, plant, animal, etc. are convenient category we use to study organism. The scientific term for this category is taxa. Here you must recognize the taxa can indicate category at very different level. Plant also form a taxa. Wheat is also a taxa. Similarly, animals, mammals, dogs, all are taxa, but you know that a dog is a mammal and mammals are animals. Therefore, animals, mammals and dogs represent taxa at different level. Hence, based on characteristics, all living organisms can be classified into different taxa. This process of classification is taxonomy. External and internal structure, along with the structure of cell, development processes and ecological information of organisms are essential and form the basis of modern taxonomic studies. Hence, characterization, identification, classification, and nomenclature are the processes that are basic to taxonomy. Taxonomy is not something new. Human beings have always been interested in knowing more and more about the various kind of organisms, particularly with reference to their own use. In early days, human beings needed to find sources for their basic needs of food, clothing, and shelter. Hence, the earliest classification were based on the uses of various organisms. Human beings were since long not only interested in knowing more about different kind of organisms and their diversity, but also the relationship among them. This branch of a study was referred to as systematics. The word systematics is referred from the Latin word systema, which means systematic arrangement of organisms. Linnaeus used Systema Nature as the title of his publication. The scope of systematic was later enlarged to include identification, nomenclature, and classification. Systematic takes into account evolutionary relationship between organisms. 1.2 Taxonomic categories. Classification is not a single step process but involve hierarchy of steps in which each step represents a rank or category. Since the category is a part of overall taxonomic arrangement, it is called the taxonomic category, and all categories together constitute the taxonomic hierarchy. Each category referred to as a unit of classification in fact represent a rank is commonly termed as taxon. Taxonomic category and hierarchy can be illustrated by an example. Insect represent a group of organisms sharing common features like three pairs of jointed legs. It means insects are recognizable concrete object which can be classified and thus were given a rank or category. Can you name other such group or organisms? Remember, group represent category, category further denotes rank. Each rank or taxon in fact represent a unit of classification. These taxonomic group categories are distinct biological entities and not merely morphological aggregate. Taxonomical studies of all non-organisms have led to the development of common categories such as kingdom, phylum, or division for plants, class, order, family, genus, and species. All organisms, including those in the plant and animal kingdoms, have a species as the lowest category. Now the question you may ask is how to place an organism in various categories. The basic requirement is the knowledge of character of an individual or group of organisms. This helps in identifying similarities and dissimilarities among the individual of the same kind of organisms as well as of other kinds of organism. 1.2.1 Species. Taxonomic studies consider a group of individual organisms with fundamental similarities as a species. One should be able to distinguish one species from the other closely related species based on the distinct morphological differences. Let us consider Magnifera indica, Sonilum tuberosum potato, and Panthera leo lion. All the three names indica, tuberosum, and leo represent the specific epithet, while the first word Magnifera, Solinum, and Panthera are genera and represents another higher level or taxon or category. Each genus may have one or more than one specific epithet representing different organisms but having morphological similarities. For example, Panthera has another specific epithet called tigris, and Solinum includes species like Nigrum and Melongena. Human beings belong to the species Sapiens, which is grouped in the genus Homo. The scientific name thus for human being is written as Homo sapiens. 1.2.2 Genus. Genus comprises a group of related species which has more characters in common in comparison to a species of other genera. We can say that genera are aggregates of closely related species. For example, potato and brinjal are two different species, but both belong to the genus Solanum, Leo, Panthera, Leo, leopard, P. pardus, and tiger, P. tigris, with several common features. Are all species of the genus Panthera. This genus differ from another genus, Felis, which include cats. 1.2.3 Family. The next category, family, has a group of related genera with a still less number of similarity as compared to genus and species. Families are characterized on the basis of both vegetative and reproductive features of plant species. Among plants, for example, three different genera Solanum, Petunia, and Datura are placed in the family Solanaceae. Among animals, for example, genus Panthera comprising lion, tiger, leopard is put along with genus Felis cat in the family Felidae. Similarly, if you observe the feature of a cat and a dog, you will find some similarities and some difference as well. They are separated into two different family, Felidae and Canidae respectively. 1.2.4 Order. You have seen earlier that categories like a species, genus and families are based on a number of similar characters. Generally, order and other higher taxonomic category are identified based on the aggregates of character. Border being a higher category is assemblage of families which exhibit a few similar characters. The similar characters are less in number as compared to different genera included in their family. Plant families like Convolvulaceae, Solanaceae are included in the order Polymonials mainly based on the floral characters. The animal order Carnivora include families like Felidae and Canidae. 1.2.5 Class. This category include related order. For example, order Primata comprising monkey, gorilla and gibbon is placed in class Mammalia along with order Carnivora that include animals like tiger, cat and dog. Class Mammalia has other orders also. 1.2.6 Phylum. Classes comprising animals like fishes, amphibians, reptile, birds along with mammals constitute the next higher category called phylum. All these based on the common feature like presence of notochord and dorsal hollow neural system are included in phylum Chordata. In case of plants, classes with a few similar characters are assigned to a higher category called division. 1.2.7 Kingdom. All animals belonging to various phyla are assigned to the highest category called Kingdom Animalia in the classification system of animals. The Kingdom Plantae on the other hand is distinct and comprises two plants from various divisions. Henceforth, we will refer to these two groups as animal and plant kingdom. The taxonomic category from a species to kingdom have been shown in the ascending order starting with a species in figure 1.1. These are broad categories. However, taxonomists have also developed subcategories in this hierarchy to facilitate more sound and scientific placement of various taxa. Look at the hierarchy in figure 1.1. Can you recall the basic of arrangement? Say for example, as we go higher from a species of kingdom, the number of common characteristics goes on decreasing. Lower the taxa, more are the characteristics that are member within the taxon share. Higher that category, greater is the difficulty of determining the relationship to other taxa at the same level. Hence, the problem of classification becomes more complex. Table 1.1 Organism with their taxonomic categories: common name, biological name, genus, family, order, class, phylum, division. Main: Homo sapiens, Homo, Hominidae, Primata, Mammalia, Chordata. Housefly, biological name Musca domestica, genus Musca, family Mysiidae, order Diptera, class Insecta, phylum Arthropoda. Mango, biological name Magnifera indica, genus Magnifera, family Anacardiaceae, order Septendens or class Dicotyledon, phylum Angiospermi. Wheat, biological name Triticum aestivum, genus Triticum, family Poaceae, order Poales, class Monocotyledons, phylum Angiospermi. Summary: the living world is rich in variety. Millions of plants and animals have been identified and described, but a large number still remains unknown. The very range of organism in terms of size, colors, habitat, physiological and morphological feature make us see the defining characteristics of living organism. In order to facilitate the study of kinds and diversity of organisms, biologists have evolved certain rules and principles for identification. Nomenclature and classification of organisms. The branch of knowledge dealing with this aspect is referred to as taxonomy. The taxonomic studies of various species of plants and animals are useful in agriculture, forestry, industry, and in general for knowing your bioresource and their diversity. The basic of taxonomic like identification, naming, and classification of organisms are universally evolved under international codes. Based on the resemblance and distinct difference, each organism is identified and assigned a correct scientific biological name comprising two words as by the binomial system of nomenclature. An organism represent occupies a place or position in the system of classification. There are many categories ranks which are generally referred to as taxonomic category or taxa. All the category constitute a taxonomic hierarchy. At the end, thanks for watching. Please subscribe our channel.